is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. This is an Alan Moore story. I was going to film this on Friday. I'm really glad I didn't. Because it's got a nice little addendum, which I think really... when you're finding YouTube videos to make, and you do, if you're a YouTuber, you do them pretty much every day. You always got to find your own personal angle to them. It's got to be real. If you make it up, it just feels fake, right? It just feels fake. So I got a couple of things that do dovetail nicely together. Again, an Alan Moore story, a really weird Alan Moore story, which is what you expect with the Alan Moore story, but it's weird for a different reason because it's mainly from CBR, which is owned by Paramount, a massive corporation, and the antithesis of Alan Moore, they're trying to comprehend his artistic ethics, right, from people who have no ethics whatsoever, and we find out how these people have no ethics whatsoever from the story that dovetails with it that we'll be looking at together. Before we get into it, can you hit the like button? Fan-dabby double dozy. Thank you very much. I like to be liked. I do like to be liked. It's true. I also like to be shared. Listen, baby. Everybody keeps it to themselves. What they enjoy. I like to be shared. If you like to be shared, you can be shared too. Like, share, subscribe. That's what I like the most. A bit of subscribing action. Yeah, we go. YouTube doesn't really like people subscribing to me. So, if you're an anti-authoritarian, much like myself, you know what? That's not true. I'm mostly an authoritarian. I like authority, but I think we can't give up our individual right to think. At the same time, if the authority steps out of line, at that point you're an anti-authoritarian. I'm not anti-authority just for anti-authority's sake, So like, share, subscribe. If you want to be super nice, listen, we've got 1 week to go, less than a week to go. Go check out my Indiegogo. Can't bother checking it out. Go buy my Indiegogo, right? Go buy my Indiegogo. 2 freaking awesome graphic novels. The link is in the video notes. This one, listen, there's no way you won't know how much I adore Alan Moore from this book. It's biblical, Bible source, atheists, creators, rationalists, and rogues. This is really based on the type of books I love, which are like the early Vertigo books, the pre-Vertigo books, like Swamp Thing, Sandman, Hellblazer. It's got. I really do try and go for that vibe. It's got a real thick, meaty story to it. 220 pages long and very biblically accurate. So there's stuff there that you'll probably recognize, but with hopefully a whole lot more depth than you'd ever even considered. And it's not preachy. That's really the most important thing. I hope you enjoy it. It's really that's the preaching I want to do. I hope you enjoy it. Actually, Alan Moore, now I think about it, reviewed a small part of this comic very, very nicely. He had this thing called Electro Comics, which was freaking awesome. I absolutely adored Electro Comics, which have sadly gone. So Electro Comics was the only digital format for comics that I ever seen that really worked. Because it was designed by Alan freaking Moore, who so intently understands the medium, and so you got to be able to control the flow of data, which you don't really get with most other electronic mediums, and it still felt like a comic while utilizing a tablet's potential. So that was fantastic. So I adapted a few pages of this into its own story, and Alan Moore reviewed it quite positively. You know what they should have done with Electro Comics? Honestly, they should have taken his... I pitched this idea to Leah Moore, who's also in the story. I pitched this idea to him. I said, if he just give me the notes, or anybody the notes for big numbers, that the thing that he did 3 issues of, and only 2 were printed, right? And do it as an Electro comic that you can only get a print copy of it. If you buy the Indigo, if you buy the crowdsourcing campaign, that would finance this Electro Comics thing. What they really needed is a marketplace where people can put their work on it and sell it. And secondly, they needed high level talent to work in the medium to draw people into it, right? And that would have totally worked. Unfortunately, listen, business acumen. No, it's not business acumen. He's a very smart guy, Alan Moore. I just don't think he likes business. He doesn't. He finds it, unethical. This like trading thing. I think he just finds it, unethical. Anyway, that's a bit of a, an aside. I still think we're keeping to the topic of the video. Also, there's this book, The Imperium. Again, you can tell how much I love Alan Moore. A love letter to telefantasy in '96. So Alan Moore did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which has all his turn of the century literary heroes. So if I try to do something, it'll be a lot less intelligent, and it'll be like 1960s TV heroes, which is essentially what this is. So imagine James Bond, Emma Hill, Doctor Who, the Black Slab from 2001, and a monkey in a spacesuit in one reality-bending narrative. Bit of Prisoner thrown in, bit of Thunderbird. It's all in there. It's all in it. It's 105 pages long. Great book, artwork by Dominic Rancho, and if you buy both of them, you get a whole bunch of extras. You get this thing, Noble Savages. It's a poster. You get For the Male Gaze. So just look, go check the videos. Go check it out, mate. Go check it out. You will be happy, I think. Listen, if you won't be happy if you buy it, at least I will be. So 50-50 ain't bad. Fine, let's have a look at this story. Alan Moore's daughter explains his anger at the entertainment industry. Well, actually, she did that about 2 years ago in this freaking beautiful letter. Like, it's just absolutely beautiful letter where she explained, yeah, look, my dad is grumpy, right? My dad is grumpy. He's angry. He's been mad for 30 years. And boy, I so relate to this guy. I so relate to him. You stay mad until there's restitution, right? There's no point being mad in the first place. But I think it put a real crimp on his entire life. And she was like saying, look, imagine if he was treated well. Imagine if Alan Moore was treated well, and we got like 30 years of great comics from Alan Moore. We got his Green Lantern run. We had his Wonder Woman run. We had his Daredevil run. Wouldn't that be an incredible world to live in? And she's right. She's right. So this story came about because now the comic book industry is essentially destroyed. The creators were hoping for the last 10 years that they would be able to tunnel into Hollywood via comics, which wasn't a bad strategy. Trouble is, the comics they made were garbage, right? And they weren't very good. And also, look, listen, you don't get rich in Hollywood. You have a handful, 1% or 1% who are super, super rich. Everybody else lives in like very lower middle class, I would say shitty apartments, right? Because the entertainment industry is run by pure evil, right? They're run by absolute evil who do exploit their workers in every way, shape, or form, as do most corporations, I think. So anyway, they tweeted that they made more. Who was it? Whoever it was that invented Winter Soldier, and there's a big argument. Did he invent Winter Soldier, or did he just come up with a new thing for Bucky? Whatever. The guy, who was it? Not Brubaker. Maybe it was Brubaker. Maybe it was Ed Brubaker. Invented Winter Soldier. Said he got more money out the residuals from being in Captain America: Civil War or whatever it was that he did from the actual comic book he wrote, right? It's and they're like, well, that's messed up. So Hollywood had been paying them a pittance of shut up money. At this point, was it Leah Moore waded in? Alan Moore's daughter Leah Moore responded to an article about the superhero film industry and explaining that is why his father was so angry. We all know. Let's read in her words. Leah Moore, a writer and the daughter of a comic book icon Alan Moore, responded to the discussion of a recent Hollywood Reporter article. She was really sick about a few years ago as well, like really deathly. She had to have a head shaved. It was a big deal, as I recall. It was some kind of brain. I really don't recall. Okay, I'm talking out my ass. I really don't recall. I might be wrong about everything. So to be clear, listen, this is not a news channel. Okay. So responded to the discussion in the recent Hollywood Reporter article about comic book writers not being fairly compensated financially. What other ways they're being compensated? What, you're going to give them a hand job? Compensated financially for their work by noting that things discussed in the article are part of the reasons why her father is so angry at the entertainment industry. They ripped him off and lied relentlessly. And they ripped him off, and then they used his work, right? Yeah, I can imagine Alan Moore. He's an artist. He sees his work as an extension of himself, and so he's in. I can feel like he's been. He feels like he's been partially kidnapped and forced to be forced into slave labor for his entire life. That's essentially what's happened with his work. And again, could you imagine a world where Alan Moore was happy and he just kept making great comics? Wouldn't that be great? Listen, I have to tell you, I'm really thrilled for him. He just signed this Bloomsbury deal. I think he's going to make a mint out of that. I'm looking forward to that. Actually, I really got to try and read was it Jerusalem? I have the book on tape. It's 30 hours long. I got the book as well, but I need a magnifying glass for that. I'm an old man, okay? 30 hours long, but I should just try and commit to try and listen to it over a month, right? Also, on Audible, they got Voice of the Fire, his first book, with different people reading each chapter. I'm tempted for that. I tell you, I love Alan Moore's spoken word stuff. It's really cool. One thing I really can wholeheartedly recommend is the Unearthing, which is like an essay that he performed with musical accompaniment. They did a video version of it. Wasn't as good, but the audio version is just freaking fantastic. I do love his spoken word stuff. Anyway, I digress. Moore has been quite open over the years in defense of her famous father. She dislikes the idea that his anger has been portrayed, though he's unreasonable, when she obviously feels he's not. The impression I get of Alan Moore from her is that this really fun, loving, sweet father, right? I mean, really weird guy too. I mean, he had at one point I think when he was parenting, he had like 2 wives, and they lived in a collective. It was a lot of weird stuff. But this is the feeling I always do get from him, that he's just generally wants to be a nice guy, wants to be a nice, sweet guy, and he's been screwed over. Now, in defense of the corporations that are screwing him over, that's kind of the corporate practice, right? That is going in. It's weird to say that I'm going to write a character and then, especially in the 80s, and then I control the character. But that's kind of what he was promised with Watchmen. They said as soon as it goes out of print, the rights will revert to you. It never went out of print. It was too successful. It became what's called a perennial. So he basically was screwed out of the rights. But I still think there was a deal that could have been made back then. Say, listen, how about look, this property is much bigger than we thought it would be. From a corporate business level, we can't give it away to you, but we can compensate you for its ongoing use. And I think if they had done that, they would have had a lot more stuff that they could have sold. And done. I mean, basically, can you imagine the DC cinematic universe would be completely based on Alan Moore's work, had he still been around? And he said about 10 years ago, he has a perfect way of resetting the DC universe, so everything moves together perfectly. And he says, you know what? I'm just not going to tell anyone, right? I'm just not going to tell them. Good for you, Alan. But if you haven't noticed, I am biased in Alan Moore's favor, right? I am 100% biased in his. That's true. That is very true. So he's always portrayed unreasonable. The articles like Hollywood Reporter one let people in on just how messed up things can be for top comic writer of the world like Alan Moore. For instance, the article cites complaints from Ed Brubaker, I was right, and Ta-Nehisi Coates. So listen, Ed Brubaker's a real writer. He was post Alan Moore though. Listen, I think he could have negotiated something different. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a fraud. I mean, he's black, and that's what he sells to write comics. I'm black. He's writing the Superman movie now. Amazing Superman's black. It's not a different Superman for a different dimension. It's Clark Kent. Clark Kent's black now because nothing matters. 2 of the most successful comic book writers working today. Ta-Nehisi Coates is not one of the most successful. I mean, I guess he is, but that gives the impression that he's built up his talent. Grant Morrison, who apparently Alan Moore can't stand. They can't stand each other. He's somebody who is one of the most successful comic writers today. I mean, he's actually a comic writer. Leah Moore tweeted, seeing folks share the Hollywood Reporter article and wondering how this is news. It's 100% Leah. 100, really? it's like the Me Too stuff, right? Me Too, it was like, really? Hollywood producers demand sexual favors to give, I was going to say actresses, young ladies, but I think probably actors too, to get them jobs in movies. Herbert to Betsy, look, we all know about it, for crying out loud. And I think the real big deal was, it's everybody who knew about it were the same ones who were wagging their fingers at America for not voting. Ew, you're all immoral, said Meryl Streep and Robert De Niro from whatever award ceremony. Ew, you sicky, ew, deplorable people. Meanwhile, they all knew exactly about Harvey Weinstein and all the rest of them, because they're lying pieces of human garbage. That's the way I would say it. It's why Dad walked. It's why he's been angry for 30 plus years. I tell you, a wrong not righted. If you're a person of integrity, will never go away. I feel for you, mate. I really do. I absolutely feel for you. Why doesn't want to chit chat about movie or TV? Yeah, can we talk about the bastardization of your work that we're making millions of dollars out, and that makes you want to rich? Can we have a little chitty chat about that? I mean, were you up for that, Alan? Not so much. By the way, his movie the show, should be being released on downloads soon. It's getting a one-night premiere. But then I also read the story, they're developing a TV show from it. That's, again, I am just psyched for this stuff. I think the stuff we got coming out from Alan Moore is pretty darn good. He was the best, and they did it to him, and every interviewer acted like he was a loon. Yeah, that was the part. I think that's made him angry forever. Yeah, you're right to be angry. So, oh, you're just crazy. No, I think, yeah. I think somebody of Alan Moore's clear, immense intelligence can be seen strange, but not crazy. This is a reminiscent of a similar social media post that younger Moore made back in 2019. Yeah, talking about how great it would have been not a screwed over Alan Moore. If instead of being a grumpy Alan Moore shouting from his cave, he has spent 40 years putting out book after book for DC and the rest, creating a vast world of superheroes he loves, enjoying comics, it's a damn shame. It is a damn, and I remember this was a few years ago, this came out. It really, really genuinely touched me. So this article, as I said, is from CBR, again, a very, very shilly website, right? And they're looking at Alan Moore's artistic integrity, kind of like the monkeys from 2001 looking at the black slab. They're like, ah, 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 and they just don't understand. They can't comprehend it. It's too much for them. Why can't they comprehend it? Because this is the norm. This is the norm. Where do you go? Come back. Polygon? Wait, what is this? How do I get this back? Oh, there you go. No? Okay, fine. We're back. Dark promises it's not straight white boy comics anymore. So this is a quote from Karen Berger. Karen Berger is saying, yeah, we've thrown off the male-dominant patriarchy. Karen Berger, are you? I don't want to assume your gender, darling. I think you're a lady, right? I think you're a lady. Let's read this article for a little bit, and we'll see the complete lack of any, not just artistic integrity, of any integrity. And that Karen Berger was essentially the DC editor that discovered Alan Moore. She flew to the UK. I think it was during the Comic Mart time. We had these great Comic Marts in central London. Maybe they still have them. It was just a really, it was like mid-80s, early 80s. And she hired him there and a bunch of other people. That's what caused the brain drain, is essentially because of Karen Berger, right? Again, completely lacking in integrity. Publisher made it clear at SDCC, comics are for everybody. But here's the thing. Why not make comics for the people who want comics? I think we've seen the data, right? You make comics for little girls, especially little black girls. You love making comics for little black girls because you're basically racist, right? So you make comics for little black girls and then they don't sell, right? Or you make, Captain Marvel doesn't sell. Why not make comics for people who like, I understand you don't like men, okay? I don't understand you don't like masculinity. You think it's toxic. You think it's evil. But you're in the comic book industry. Like, you should make comics for people who read comics. 8-year-old boys, that's your market, really. And don't get me wrong, I loved Vertigo comics. For me, it came around at the exact right time where I was basically too old to read the superhero stuff. I mean, I like the Alan Moore stuff because it was, had some layers to it. But like Vertigo came along I was in, was it my later teens, and I wanted to I wanted something more experimental, less superhero-y, quite frankly, right? This is not what this imprint is about. This is about making comics for people who the people on Twitter think should have comics made for them, right? Because they think their lives are terrible because they don't. And basically, the people who live on Twitter, they're also racist, right? They see if they only see skin color. So if you've got white skin, they think you're intrinsically racist and evil. If you've got black skin, they think you're a pathetic moron who can't do anything. And that's really what they think. And they can walk around going with their nose in the air saying how incredibly liberal they are. Not so much. Okay, builders are looking to the future for one of the industry's leading independent publishers. The 35 years of Dark Horse, past, present. Listen, if DC's wobbling, I think Dark Horse must be as well. Hosted by Kate J. The panel was made up by Roy Oakpe, Cullen Bunn, Chris Golden, Faith Erin Hicks, as well as one of the most important figures in the mainstream industry, editor Karen Berger. So basically, I know one of those names. Okay, fine. Berger held court about her history in the comic industry, explaining that she was initially hired at DC thanks to an interview set up in the early 80s by a friend, writer J.M. DeMatteis. So when was this? Early 80s, right? In the early 80s. If comics are only for straight white men, how did you get a job? Again, are you a straight white man, Karen? Because I don't think you are. Right? I think you're probably Jewish as well. Isn't that a minority? Hey, listen, not that Jews come anywhere near the progressive stack. And speaking of somebody who actually really knows, we're nowhere near that, baby. But like, your story invalidates your freaking point, right? Your story absolutely invalidates the point you're making, and the reason your point is invalidated is because it's not valid, because it's full of shit, because you got no freaking integrity. She went on class herself as a comic book fan after working on a number of titles, including DC's horror anthology. Explained, "I fell in love with the media. I love the collaborative aspects of creating comics. Although she said that her lack of early fandom was what allowed her to become the editor that she did." I disagree with that. I think quality will out, right? I think all the levels of corporate bullcrap nowadays is probably gonna be hard. I gravitated to all comics that weren't male power fantasies. Sandman, kind of a male power fantasy. It was just a more subtle one. Hellblazer, kind of a male power fantasy. What was in the Doom Patrol, kind of a male power. I'm sure that was on the Vertigo lineup. What else was in Vertigo? I mean, like the Preacher, kind of a male power fantasy, right? So everything you're saying is a lie, right? Everything that really worked for Vertigo, so that was a male power fantasy. It was just somewhat different, right? It was a different. It was for different men, basically. Now, Sandman was the most gender neutral of the titles, and I liked it for it. But still, if it was just about representing what they feel was underrepresented groups, as a lot of the comics are today, Vertigo would never have survived, and these books would never be beloved. It was about story. It was about character, which again don't really have so much now coming out from like Vita Ayala. And is Mag Versace still around? Oh, it's actually finally imploded. That would be kind of cool. The result of the line proved to be DC's much missed Vertigo line. Why is it much missed? It's because social justice warriors took it over and destroyed it, right? Making comics that weren't male power fantasies. Essentially, they were male power fantasies, but they were like extreme left-wing male power fantasies. So you had stuff about, Border Town, things like that, which are very, very, very subtle. So fine. So then she talks about stuff that's coming up, a reprint of Enigma, and then they talk about Rewild. Berger described it as Cli-Fi story, a story about climate change. Yeah. It's just, again, when you play to the tiny clump of people that live on Twitter, rather than people who read comics. You end up not making comics that don't sell, right? It's sort of like the Fables meets Fisher King. Oh, I like Fisher King. So they say the flop is over. That's what the other thing we're just going to be doing graphic novels now because the floppies are over because you idiots, you social justice warrior idiots, you liberal progressive idiots have destroyed that part of the medium completely, right? Completely. What was it? So they talk about some license thing, but where do we get to a idiot point? Where was it? At this point in time, you have no excuses to tell your story. I'm not saying it's easy. It's pretty easy, but it's easier than it ever has been. That is very true, but you don't need Dark Horse to do it. Again, if I can take a moment to remind you, go check out my Indiegogo, right? I'm actually doing what she's saying to do. Now I got my screen all frozen. There you go. Go check out my Indiegogo. Do exactly what she says. But people don't do what they say a lot. What comics does better than any other medium is allow authentic people to tell authentic stories. It's easy to tell a story in comics because essentially you can do it on your own. I can't make a movie on my own. I can't sit down and draw a comic book. You just need a lot of dedication to do it, right? As the creators discussed with YouTube Comics, all agreed that increased focus on diversity, the thing that has destroyed your industry, that has erased the periodical market, right? Absolutely destroyed the industry. DC, are they publishing anything more? They got a very limited amount of titles, and almost certainly when they're sold, they're going right. They're an unprofitable part of AT&T. When it's all sold, they're going. So I like. And again, why is this focus on diversity? Karen, you walked in off the street, you got a job as an editor, and your terrifying vagina didn't stop that, did it? No, what's really going on is you're lying. You're lying so you can look good to that small clump of piss babies that live on Twitter. In terms of characters and creators, what was what excited them most? As Berger put it, it's not just straight white male comics anymore. It never was. It never, ever was. Listen, it was predominantly male. That I would agree with you. I think Sandman introduced women into the comics a lot, right? But it's always been predominantly, but not straight and white. Where do you get that from, right? Where on earth do you get that from? From nowhere, right? Your lived experience contradicts it, and you're just saying it to score virtue points. Because you're a loser, Karen. Basically, bottom line, such an incredible talent, such an innovative talent, and now you're just another NPC loser saying whatever crap they have to say to get through the whatever to not be cancelled. The lack of integrity is both nauseating and breathtaking. Alan Moore, I am so glad you walked away from this. So there we have it. Who was it? A tale of two creators, one with integrity and a little bit cross, one who feels great about life with zero integrity. One's got to hope there is an afterlife, because if this is all there is, life sucks. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have l'chaim. Like, share, and subscribe, and have yourselves a fantastic day.